Hi guys, good morning and welcome to my podcast. My name is Mandy and you can find me on the internet as Mandy Von Knits on Instagram and Ravelry. I am a 39-year-old woman. I live here in southeastern Michigan. I'm here with my husband and my 2 kiddos. I love to knit. I love to knit and I love to crochet and I love yarn and talking about yarn and just spending hours looking at patterns and yarn and all the things on the internet involving these things. So if that sounds like you, please stick around. I would love to have you. I have a little bit to talk about today. I've got some finished objects. I did block my Musselburgh, so I'm going to show that to you. And I also blocked the Rekindled. Now, if you watched last week, I showed you the Rekindled that's knit with Kiviot yarn, and it is basically a light fingering weight, and it's a cowl. It goes around your neck, and it's lace. So I showed it to you unblocked, and this week I'm going to show it to you blocked because it is very much different. I'm not a lace knitter, so the magic, I guess, the magic of blocking and lace just always amazes me. And I always seem to forget how different blocking and pre-blocking look for lace. Now, I've knit a lot of sweaters and some of them have lace in them. I do some lace, but for like an all over lace piece, it's just the transformation is incredible. It's one of those things that never gets old, and I geek out over it, right? I'm sure you guys understand. But anyway, let's get to the first things first. We are going to give away a digital pattern. Now, on this podcast, I do that every week, and the only thing that you have to do, the only thing that you have to do is just leave a comment down below. It doesn't matter what it is. Please make it nice. But other than that, come back next week and I will draw a winner from the previous week's comments. Now, I am going to leave a blank spot right here. And if that were you, please get in touch with me on either Instagram or Ravelry as Mandy Von Knits. Let me know what pattern that you want, your pattern choice. The choice can be 15 USD or under, and the only other rule with this giveaway is that you can only win once a week. I do keep like a spreadsheet of all of the winners, and I actually keep their pattern choices because I think it's really cool. We have a lot of fans of like Tanis Lavallee, with good reason. She writes some great patterns. She's actually written one that I really like, and I can't remember what it's called. It's a hoodie, the R&R hoodie. It's so great. If you guys are ever looking for a hoodie pattern, check that one out. It's one of my favorites. Okay. Anyways, like I said, if I showed your name earlier, get in touch with me. Instagram, Ravelry, doesn't matter. If you don't use Ravelry, just let me know in the comments. They have different payment places to go to send patterns. I think PayHip is one of them. We can figure it out. Even if I have to contact a designer and be like, could you please do this for me? I will pay for it and you just send them the pattern. Well, we'll get it. We'll figure it out. It's 2025 and we're in the middle of like digital technology land. Okay. So speaking of which, I am going to talk at the end after I show my knitting and my works in progress. Instead of talking about patterns like I normally do, I am going to talk about what I was up to today. So what I was up to today is Joji Locatelli sent me, well, she sent her newsletter subscribers about like a month and a half ago an option to basically sign up for online workshops. And you guys know how much of a Joji Locatelli fan I am. I love her designs. I have knit them, And just, I got to sit in on the workshops on Zoom today, and it was like so awesome. So I will talk about that after my knitting. So be ready for that. The first thing I am going to show you, and I guess I'll start with the Musselburghs, because I believe I showed this last week, but it was not blacked, and the fabric is so much nicer after it's blacked. So this is the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague, and this is basically a hat pattern that's knit in a tube. So if I undo this right here, it's like magic. You can pull it out. So it's double layered. It's perfect if you live in a cooler climate and say you need 4 layers on your ears. So, and in Michigan, we definitely need that because it can get cold here. So in order to kind of get the Musselburgh even, I do one of these, right? And it kind of evens out the fabric, and then I'll just roll it up because that's how someone is going to wear it. But I do love it. You can wear it slouchy or you can wear it folded up. And this was knit from fingering weight yarn. So the yarn that I used for this was Blackbird Sycamore. It was the Super Sack base, and that I believe is 75-25 superwash merino, and then nylon. Why did I had to think about that. That's like my most, that's the base I use most, and I had to think about what the other thing was it contained. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I feel like this week for work, my mind is like elsewhere. So anyways, this is so soft and so comfy. I made this for my friend, and I am going to send it to them next week. Basically next week, because now I've shown it to you. But I hope that they like it. And it was a ton of fun knitting. I definitely love to knit that hat. So I have a lot of doctor's appointments. I have to go in and out of the hospital. If you guys are new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome. I am a paraplegic, so with that comes a lot of health issues. Yeah, let's put it mildly. Health issues. I had things like septic arthritis. I've had spinal cord leaks, all sorts of icky crud, basically. So I get in and out of the hospital quite a bit. I have a lot of tests I have to do. Next week I have to have like a DEXA scan, I believe they said, where they're going to scan my bones to see how thin they are. I'll talk about it later because I can go on, and that's life stuff. So that's boring. You guys don't want to hear that. I'll save it for the end. I have another Musselburgh. This one is my favorite ever so far. Look at that. This is a fiber optics yarn. This goes from this beautiful, beautiful purple. Well, it looks blue there, but I assure you it's purple. And you go to this beautiful orange. I believe it's called tangerine. So if you look very close, you can see the stripes, which graduate towards one color. So you can see how it's dyed almost, and it's gorgeous. If you've never used fiber optics yarn, this was called a unified gradient, and this was their cashmere base, and it's an MCM. I'm not sure the exact percentages, so I will put it up on the screen, but here we go. This is amazing. This hat is for my son. We visited the fiber optics yarn store in Ohio, and he picked out this colorway. So this is what he wanted, and I asked him if he would like a hat, and he said yes. So I think that the way this looks together is amazing, and this yarn would make a gorgeous, like a scarf, right? So that would be I mean, why not? It's almost there, but look, it'd make a beautiful cowl too. And they have so many different colors of this. When my son picked this out, my daughter picked out one, and it's from like a really light pink to a gray. And I keep thinking that it would make a gorgeous, like shirt or a dress, but I don't know how I'd pull that off. See, part of me thinks that if I make the top like a tank top, I could knit straight down. But the problem with that is that you have to, you generally work the top into two pieces, right? Because you have like these tank sleeves. So if you guys know of a pattern that would work as either a dress, yeah, probably a dress, or even if it was a shirt, I could lengthen it and turn it into a dress. If you guys know of a pattern that could work for a unified gradient for the top like that, for a child that would wear, let's see, like a 12, let me know. There's another possibility with this yarn, and that is that they sell the colors at each end, and they let you know what the colors are. So I could do that too. And that would allow me to split if I started with one of the solid colors. So this is so nice. He's so lucky. I should really knit myself a Musselburgh. Maybe for next year. I like making them for other people. I feel like if somebody appreciates my knitting, it makes me so happy, and I'd much rather knit for other people. I like making myself sweaters though, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's great. You can really see the color different, like the way that it gradually changes. That is incredible. And this pattern works really well for these skeins. I figured out that one color was like 4 grams, I believe. So I was able to weigh how much I had left and see how many color repeats I had left. I ended up with only like this, like a teeny tiny bit of yarn left. And that was perfect, because with a gradient like this, you really don't want to end it like weird. I don't want to say weird, but you don't want to end it with one of the colors being short. You really kind of want to make it, to use as much of the yarn as you possibly can. But I'm so happy about that, and I think it's super cool. Oh. So I have my make 30 on Ravelry, and I'll link it, but the interesting, important thing about my make 30 is that I don't have a Musselburgh on it. Do you guys believe that? I started the Vertices Unite, and I have that on my make 30. So I'm thinking that might take the place of some of my mindless knitting. At least the beginning of it, right? Because it's small, it's portable, and I'll show it to you guys in a couple of minutes. But first, I'm going to show you the Rekindled, because I blocked this. Now, this is the Rekindled, and this is by Juliano, I believe. And this is knit with Kiviot yarn, and it is, I believe, 50% silk, 50% Kiviot. Now, this was a gift for me from my aunt, and she sent it to me on my birthday. And she sent the beads and the pattern as well. And I loved working this. I'm not a lace knitter, but I loved it. I feel like every time I knit something where I learn things, it makes me happy. And I know that sounds weird, but I've always loved to learn things. And whenever like knitting knitting and learning like intersect, it just makes me so happy. So this is the cowl and I love it. I could probably like do this around my shoulder. And you can see the beads. This would look so pretty with like a black dress. Oh, and it's so soft. So I put up the information about the yarn. Like I said, I've never used this yarn before. I'm not sure where my aunt got it, but it is so soft. Like super soft. So this is probably like the nicest fiber that I've ever really used. But it's also supposed to be very warm. So that would be good for like winter where you're at like a party or something and you have on a dress and you like, you don't want to wear your coat when you're at like a black tie event, right? So I think that this would be awesome. I'm so happy that I made it. If you've watched previously, you knew that I was having a little bit of trouble with the lace. I couldn't tell at all whenever I blocked it. I didn't look too hard, but like nobody else is going to be examining it. And overall, the effect was very pretty. So, and the beads. I'm not a bead knitter either, but you know, I really should. After I get done with my list, I should add some things that are lacy and have beads like this. I feel like maybe a wrap with beads. Whenever I said that, I immediately thought of like a black wrap with like silver or white beads. Black like fingering weight yarn. I'm crazy. I'm so silly. But really, I think that it would be gorgeous. Okay. I highly recommend this, definitely. If you're lucky enough to be able to get it. I know that it's a very expensive yarn. And I was very grateful that it was sent to me. I'm showing it to you guys inside out. Look at that. There. And the beads are, I believe, size 10. Oh, so soft. Okay. Those were the finished items that I have. Oh my gosh, guys, I forgot to tell you what I'm wearing. So I am going to place this in the middle of the other video. Just in case you were wondering. And you know what the worst part is? The worst part is I sat down here and I'm like, okay, don't forget to talk about what you're wearing. Here you go. I forgot, but anyways. This is Castaways by Jennifer Shiels Toland. And this is knit with Emma's yarn. And this is their silk base. And let me show you this, right? I have a tank top on under this, but I don't know if you can see. There you go. Those are seashells. I think that that's so cute. This is the perfect like spring or fall. Well, it's more spring, summer wear because of the colors and the seashells, obviously. But I love the silky base. It's so comfy. I had a lot of fun making this and I made it last year. It doesn't take very long. I enjoyed the process and I didn't think that the seashells were too hard. And this is garter stitch, right? And this little edging is so cute. I love it. But yeah, I thought that I would wear it today because like, well, if you ignore the fact that it's super rainy and dreary outside right now, the last week has been very nice. But you know what? April flowers bring May showers. And we got our fruit trees and they're planted and there's flowers on some. I'm so excited. We also have, whenever we bought the fruit trees, we also bought a strawberry bush and that got shipped out and it's coming tomorrow. So I'm super excited about it. We're getting like these protective nets. So squirrels, deer, bunny, possums. Do possums eat fruit and stuff? Because I'm sure they would if they could. We've got all of those little ground animals that will probably try to eat the trees, so we're gonna have to protect them. But I'm really excited. I might actually get some apricots this year. If you guys don't know, I love apricots. I'm a huge fan of apricots, but we can't find them anywhere in the store. It's like they're non-existent. And it makes me so sad all the time when we go to the store and there's no apricots. So that's why we got the tree. Hopefully apricots this year. Okay guys, I'm sorry. Sorry for breaking in. I'm going now. Bye. I have started new items, and I've started new items off of my Make 30 list. But here's the thing. I'm going to talk about the Make 30 list for a second. Well, no. You know what? I'll talk about it after I'm done showing you this, because it also ties in to the Joji Locatelli workshops I did, because I was inspired to do something. Okay, so I am using a New Zealand wool, and I've put the information up on the screen because I can't remember it. Which is no use to you guys, right? Because there are lots of New Zealand wools. But I believe this is a wool from Haiku. So I cast on for the Dorian hat. And I've shown you pictures on the screen. Now, this is a brioche hat. And I am using 2 colors of brown. Now, I purposely chose these. I didn't want high contrast colors, but I wanted some contrast, almost like they were shading each other. So that was a direct choice. I know they're not going to stand out. The reason I chose those is because this is going to go to my son, and I don't think he'd like a bright green and like a gray, like me basically, or my daughter, because she's big on color too. But this is all I have of this. Now, I am teaching myself brioche. Wow, that's just teeny tiny. It's a baby hat. I am teaching myself brioche through the wonder of the internet. Thank you so much, YouTube. And this isn't the first brioche hat that I've done. This is the first 2-color brioche hat that I've done. The other ones I've done were just 1 color. The 2-color definitely makes it easier, I think. Definitely. Now, the Dorian hat works the ribbing, basically the bottom part, the band, in 1 color, and then the rest of the hat in 2 color. Now, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to work the entire hat in the 2 color, so that's what I'm doing. I just started on this like yesterday, I believe, because I was busy with this. If you watched last week, I wasn't that far on it, so I worked mainly on this week. But I had wanted to get this cast on, kind of get a feel for brioche. There's no rush, but my intention for this is to work this hat once, and then I am going to take a look and see what kind of DK weight yarn I have in my stash and pull out some to make more than one. Now, what will happen, if I have some, say 100 gram skeins of DK yarn, weight yarn, and it's in a color my daughter will like, I could probably make 2 of those hats and have one for me too. But we'll see. I would make my husband hats, but he's not into knitting. He's not into knitwear, I should say. He definitely listens to me babble on and on about knitting. He's so sweet that way, but he gets warm very easily, and he just doesn't like things on his head. One thing he did say though was that if I made him a fine sweater And I guess I'll put up pictures here. If I made him that meme sweater, he would totally wear it. And I know he will. So that's on my Make 30 list too. Because of course it is. If he doesn't wear it, I will wear it. I don't care how oversized it is. It is absolutely incredible. Anyways. Like I said, this is my Dorian hat. And I have delusions of grandeur that I am going to make at least 3 of these. So 2 more besides this. And hopefully by then I will be able to tackle some other brioche items that I have on my Make 30. Other brioche items I have include, let's see, Take Your Time by Joji Locatelli. That is a cardigan that she just released. It's almost brand new. By the way, guys, she was wearing it this morning in her online workshop, and I totally geeked out because of course I did. I'm like, I didn't say this, but I was thinking, I know that sweater she's wearing and it's so pretty. What was I saying? Yes, I want to Take Your Time. I have no clue what colors I want. The problem with that is that it's 2-color brioche, and I really love, well, actually she uses more than 2 colors, I believe, but I love the colors that she picks, and I don't know what else would look good in it, and we'll get there. Other than that, I have, what else do I have? Other than that, I have the Cowltopus on my knitting Make 30, and that is going to be cast on before Take Your Time, because those are that Take Your Time is going to, it's going to take me a little bit. It's an all over brioche cardigan. So my mother-in-law requested that I make her a Cowltopus, so I am going to be casting that on after I cast on these 3 hats and make sure that I understand the ins and outs of brioche and basically all of that, because I don't want to make her the Cowltopus and not understand what I'm doing, and it might look weird, and I don't want to gift someone something that looks weird. Okay, so all that to say, this is my Dorian, and keep watching this channel to see how it progresses. And the next one, the one I picked for my daughter, is probably going to be like 2 completely contrasting colors, because that's what she and I are both into. Now, the other pattern that I cast on, I have a huge list of things here. Let me see if I can show you a picture. So the other thing that I cast on is Vertices Unite. And it is right here. This is a pattern by Stephen West. And this is a garter stitch shawl. And it uses 5 colors, which is exciting because I had a kit from Mouse Witch Yarns that was 5 colors. So I was able to basically use that kit, and I'm gonna show you how far I've gotten, because I started this, I believe I started this last night. So this is what I have so far, just an itty bitty kind of triangle. And the point of this shawl is basically you knit a part of it and then you pick up and knit somewhere somehow. So there's no seaming involved, but there is an I-cord edging around the whole shawl, and I'm excited to see it grow. I love the garter stitch and I love how squishy it is. Now, I decided I was gonna do the large shawl because I don't do shawls very often, and I just wanted to. So I'm sure you guys understand. This is the purple that I'm using. and this is the pink. I chose these two as my first colors because originally I had cast on, let me show you guys. Originally I had cast on with this creamish pink color. So I striped these and I thought it was okay, but I kept looking and I'm like, you know what? I just don't feel like that right now. So I thought that throwing this and this together was contrasty, but not too contrasty. And I feel like that kind of gave it a really soft look. And I like that look, especially with the colors that I'm using. And I will show you those. So I have this pink and this purple. This is a medium color purple. And then a gray. This gray is really pretty. Those two look great together. They would look awesome striped. The thing I love about this set is that all these colors look good together, right? So like, it just really depends on what vibe you're going for. And depending on what colors you use to be dominant is going to change the entire the entire vibe of the shawl. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. I definitely enjoy an all garter stitch pattern. I am happy that it's on my Make 30, and depending on how I like it, I might end up casting on another one when I'm done. This one would be a good one to use scraps, I think, because you're just throwing random colors together. So I've seen the project pages on Ravelry, and some people use colors that are kind of meant to go together, and some people use colors that you'd never think go together, but because of the shawl and the nature of it, they look great. So I really do like the idea of being able to use scrap yarn on this. It's a good way to kind of get use and use your stash. So I'm going to show you this Bargello kit that I've been working on, and I showed it to you last week. And this is what I'm making. And this kit even came with the little clasp, so that made me happy. That kit is from Hello Bargello, and I've never done this before. I don't know much about it, but I bought this particular kit because they had a more advanced kit, but I didn't want to buy the more advanced kit without getting a beginner kit, because my luck, I'd look at that pattern and be like, wait, what? So here I am. This is what I have so far. You can see how the pattern instructed me to leave off these stitches for the little clasp, and I've just been working up. Now I filled in with the lines up to here, which is where I put the other part of the clasp, and ironically where the lines start almost where the lines start going back in and not taking up the whole width. But I've been working, I think, 2 stripes a day before work starts. So I really do love those colors. You know what? This right here, this feel would look great in a sweater, right? Just this color family. I wonder if I have anything in my stash that's close to this. I should really look. I'm sure I have something. It would make a great sweater. This would make a great maxi. It would also make a really nice Easter vest. Okay, I'm gonna put it away now. My mind kind of goes into overdrive when I start looking at colors and color families. Okay guys, we're gonna talk about the online workshops I did. I am going to show you just the first page that basically shows the online class workshop, because obviously I can't show you the handout, but I can talk about what she talked about, and I can give you an overview of what she talked about. How's that? Let me see, does this even have a beginning page? Or more likely, can I not find it? Nope, well, it does, but I can't show it to you because there's writing on it. So I'll just talk. The first workshop, sorry, I'm trying to rearrange myself here. The first workshop was called Sweaters That Fit, and this is a Joji Locatelli workshop, and it started early this morning. Now, it was on Zoom, which may or may not be a benefit to you. I know that it's a benefit to me because it's hard for me to get into yarn stores, to leave the house. If I leave the house, my husband has to go with me because we don't have a car or a van that I can drive. So he has to take me, and then we have 2 kids and they can't stay home alone. So it's like a whole family affair. So Zoom is really cool. I'm a big fan of how Zoom came into our life. So thank you, Zoom. Okay, so the Sweaters That Fit workshop talked basically about taking your measurements. So she went through and told us each measurement that was important to take on our body, and we basically took them in the class with a tape measure and wrote them down. So I have all of my measurements for all future sweaters. She basically explained the difference between upper bust measurement and full bust measurement and why that's important and how it affects things like circular yokes. And she explained different measurements in the arm and how to do certain things like modify your own sleeve caps for satin sleeves, to take like a vest and that had like the satin sleeves right here, but say you wanted to add sleeves to it. Well, how do you do that? Well, she gave you a formula to do that, which I thought was really cool. She explained one of the last things that she explained, and I thought that this was pretty cool, was how to get a good fit on a boxy sweater. So if you've ever ran across her pattern, she has one called the boxy. There are different variations of it, but basically it's a boxy sweater. And she explained what measurements to use and how to get the best fit for a boxy sweater. She explained different body types and different sweater types and how to accentuate them. And I mean, she basically said wear what you feel comfortable with and wear anything that you like. But if you looked at possibly this type of garment, you might really like how you look in it. So I thought that was really cool. Definitely very knowledgeable. Like, I felt the class was 2.5 hours long, and I just thought that listening to her talk about say how to add bust darts if you need them, or how to create a rounded hem, where to add short rows, it was just a huge wealth of knowledge, and I was so glad that I signed up for it. She talked about swatching. She talked about just a whole bunch of things. I honestly cannot believe she managed to cram that much into just 2.5 hours. So I'm not going to show you the pages, but look at how there are like 18 pages here. No, it's 11. This one's 11. So there are 11 pages in this handout of things she went over. And it was a whole bunch of fun. I definitely would recommend if you're interested in a class like that, because she mentioned that this class, the Sweaters That Fit workshop, was her most requested class to teach in person. This was actually the first time that she's taught digitally on Zoom. and she did an incredible job. She's very well spoken and very knowledgeable and very comfortable presenting. So that was awesome. It was a great experience. I would recommend, if you're interested in taking a class like that, to sign up for her newsletter and see if she teaches anymore. I mean, she did such an incredible job. I would be very surprised if this was her last class ever, because everybody, like the entire Zoom room, was saying how great of a job she did, basically, because it was awesome. Okay, the second one, and I have a cover page for this, is called Yarn Alchemy. Now, this is an online workshop by Joji Locatelli, and I'm ruining it because it's not in color, but I'm sorry, we don't have a color printer. But so this class got me thinking. So the basis of this class is to look at the yarn that you have, get to know the yarn that you have, and learn how to combine different yarns or combine different colors, combine different fibers, yarn weights, work with what you have, was basically the overall theme of the class. And I thought that was so cool. Joji Locatelli lives in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and she said that she lives in a country where they're not able to get packages all the time. She can't just go and order things offline. She really has to make use of what's in her stash and know the yarns that she has, and I thought that that was really cool. Now, she goes through different fiber types, why you would use this yarn for this, and the benefits of the different types of yarn. She talks about yarn weights and what you get when you start combining yarns. She talks about colors and color theory. She really talks about color theory a lot. And she's using a color wheel to show you, okay, this is analogous. I believe I pronounced that right. This is monochromatic. And you know, my favorite color palette, I think, would be like neutrals, accented neutrals, I believe she called it, which is like a whole bunch of grays and then like a pop. I love that. But I also love rainbows. I feel like listening to this class gave me a whole bunch of ideas about my personal yarn. And I started thinking, and I'm like, well, I have this make 30 list. Maybe I should take this make 30 list and try to make these 30 things with yarn from my stash. Now, I don't know if I can do it, but I feel like it would be a worthy experiment. She gives you tips on how to be creative with the yarn that you have in order to get enough yarn to use a project, like do stripes and all sorts of other kind of yarn management techniques and how to combine things. And if you don't have this weight, maybe you can take these two yarns. And I think that is a very creative outlet. Is that how I want to word that? I feel like taking the yarn that you have and kind of figuring out creative ways to use it is really, I don't want to say really creative because I just said creative and I kind of need a thesaurus, but yes, it's a really creative outlet, like an artistic approach to managing your yarn and working with what you have. I thought that was such a cool workshop, and I really enjoyed taking it. Now, like I said, these were her first ever online classes, so I would go to her website and sign up for her newsletter. I'm sure that if she has them again, then she'll put that in her newsletter. But if you do get a chance, either in person or digitally, I would definitely go to listen to her, have one of her workshops, or speak, because she definitely knows a ton about knitting. and you could tell by the questions that she was answering, things I would never know how to answer. She was answering the questions, and it was just a great experience. So yay, I was happy. It was so cool. I definitely appreciate the online workspace that the pandemic has given us. I know that not much good came from that, but this one thing, it definitely made it easier, especially for people who are chronically ill or disabled or just can't get out, like can't get out to go places. Maybe they live in a rural area. It kind of allows us to get to meet each other and converse with each other, talk to people from halfway across the world. I love it. It's great. Anyways, that's all the knitting that I have. I'll talk about my life for like 4 seconds. This week has been a lot of fun. I have spent a lot of time learning this week, and that's always a bonus. I'm still studying for an AWS certification. It's kind of, I've been taking practice tests on it, and I don't want to rush myself, but at the same time, I kind of need to put a time limit on it. I don't want to do that though. I really want to be able to go through the class, to go through the tests, and just relax and kind of take the test whenever I'm ready. I have reached out to a college that I've previously went to, and they have an online master's program, and I've started the enrollment process to take that master's class. Now, I'm not taking the master's class because, I want a master's degree. I'm taking the master's class. Basically, there's no real, I don't want to say reason. I'm not taking it to gain a promotion. I'm not taking it because I want a master's degree. I'm taking it because it's a very good opportunity for me to learn a lot more. They have a program, a software engineering program in domain-driven design that I'm very much interested in, and I feel like if I take that, that will be beneficial and allow me to learn even more. I always tell my children, I have a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old. Wow. I have a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I always tell my kids, I'm like, you know what? Learn for as much as you can, because if you're not learning, you're standing still. And it's just, the more you learn, the more your mind expands, and you can take other people's perspective and gain knowledge from all sorts of different places. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping to start maybe May, maybe June. They haven't reached back out to me yet, and I feel like they're kind of out of sorts right now with everything that's going on in the world and all the different rule changes. They're probably kind of trying to recalibrate. So I've reached back out to them, I think yesterday, so I'm sure I'll hear something soon and I'll have more of a firm start date. But I'm excited about that. Now, what else is there? Not a whole lot. I read Misery. I told you guys that. I read Misery by Stephen King. And then I bought Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King. Now, I didn't know what Dolores Claiborne was about before I bought it, which is probably a dumb thing. I mean, but it was Stephen King, right? And I will read a Stephen King book, even if I don't like it when it starts out, because I always end up liking it. So I read Stephen King, and I read Dolores Claiborne, and that book was incredible. Now, if you are not a horror fan, if you don't like scary stories, I would recommend this book. This is not a scary book. This is a narrative book about a 66-year-old woman who gets brought into a police station and interrogated over killing the woman who employs her as a housekeeper. Now, it's basically a narrative where she's talking about her life up until that point. Well, from the time she got married to basically up until that point. And she basically talks about her husband and why she killed him. Now, if you have a chance, I would get the Audible version because the person that voices the woman, because she's the only one talking throughout the whole book. It's basically her spoken word throughout the entire book. And the woman who voices the Audible version it's incredible. I would highly recommend it. It's not horror, it's just her life. And I was a definite fan of that one. What am I reading now? It's another Stephen King book, Insomnia. That is a horror book. It's about a guy whose wife dies and he can't sleep. It's a very long book. It's like 25 hours spoken. So the guy, his wife dies and now he can't sleep and he keeps waking up earlier and earlier and earlier. And there's crazy, crazy things going on. He lives in Derry, and if you've read a Stephen King book, you know where that is. So I think that this year I'm going to try to read the Stephen King books that I haven't yet, or that I maybe read when I was super little and probably didn't understand. I'm thinking like Christine and, oh, I can't think of any more, but those books. But anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm still watching Bones with my husband, and when we're not watching Bones, hockey is on. We are big Detroit Red Wings fans, and we have not been doing good this year, but we're still watching because I do love hockey. I grew up in the Metro Detroit area where during a time where the Red Wings were constantly winning. I think for 20 years or so, we were in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like for 20 years in a row. So I grew up watching hockey, everybody was watching it, and now people don't really watch it as much, but I still watch it because I really do like hockey. That is my sport of choice. Okay guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. If you could, give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to comment down below if you want to be entered for a pattern prize for next week. And if I did put your name up, please get in contact with me and let me know what prize that you want. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Bye.